she really does understand what each person brings to the table and understands their value. So I think she sees what Joyce, even when she was against Joyce at the beginning of like, why do we need this magazine? Why do we need her? I think she saw what Joyce could bring to the table.
Minx season 2 premieres on July 21st. Ultimately, what can fans expect from this new season?
I feel like this new season is, I think people were used to Minx being, or Bottom Dollar being the underdog. And this season you see what success looks like on them. It's bigger, it's bolder. There's so much that happens outside of the world of Bottom Dollar. And you get to see that through each of the characters.
Absolutely. And Oscar, this question for you. As Minx, the magazine, continues to grow, Richie also gets more attention as a photographer. So what can you tell us about Richie's character arc in season 2?
Yes, I think Richie is getting the acceptance that he's been looking for in season 1. Like, it's actually happened, I say a lot that, like, with Richie, season 2 is sort of like what happens after the happily ever after, in fairy tales. And it's him coming to terms with, like, what that means in relation to Minx now, right? Now he's taking a look back and being like, okay, what's my journey going to be like to the group that started it all for me, And there's a lot of push and pull there because, there's artistic differences between the people that work at Minx, and like he's trying to find his independent voice in that company because he feels very much a part of the Minx family, and there are forces that are trying to diminish his sort of power in there. So there's a bit of a struggle in power play. It's a big like power sort of shift.
And it's funny because my character has to oftentimes, like Tina has to oftentimes be like, okay,
that's right,
navigate this well. You can't just step in and
it's so funny because
blow everything up,
right? Because Richie's very heated and Idara's very like calm and collected, and there was moments where we don't see eye to eye our characters,
right?
But like I love Idara, and remember we were shooting some scenes where we're like, we don't want to be mad at each other.
It was really hard. It was really hard.
That was like
Those
the hardest thing
difficult.
as an actor to be mad at Idara. It was tough.
Of course. Well, Idara, this question's for you. And speaking of Tina, she's clearly the glue that holds everything together.
Yes.
So do you think, and she's done this before, but do you think she could run things without Doug and Joyce?
But of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Period.
Yes, I think she could. But of course, and I think this is actually something to Tina's credit. She really does understand what each person brings to the table and understands their value. So I think she sees what Joyce, even when she was against Joyce at the beginning of like, why do we need this magazine? Why do we need her? I think she saw what Joyce could bring to the table. And I think she always knows what Doug, that Doug's madness, his crazy sort of schemes, they oftentimes do work out in their favor in the end. And so I think she allows a lot of leeway for Doug to take his actions and do what he needs to do, and then kind of figure out how to make sure she navigates that. And so I think is very good about making sure that she finds the balance of allowing everybody to play their position. And I actually think that is her greatest strength.
Of course. Well, Idara, Oscar, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Much.
And continued success to both of you.